How can the Clemson Tigers reset and build for a strong 2025 finish? We'll talk about it right here on Locked On Clemson.
You are Locked On Clemson, your daily podcast on the Clemson Tigers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, Tiger fans? Morgan Thomas here, Clemson fan, Clemson grad, host and producer of Locked On Clemson, part-time host and producer over on 105.5 FM The Roar. Thank you so much for making Locked On Clemson your first listen of the day. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And for the everydayers out there, big salute to you for tuning in. You know how we do it here on Locked On, exclusive Clemson content Monday through Friday, every single week. And if you're new to the show, hey, welcome in. Thanks for being a part of the show. 75% of you are not yet subscribed. So what are you waiting for? Make sure you get in there and hit the like, hit the subscribe button, and follow me so that you never miss another episode. We've got a lot to talk about with how this team will move forward for 2025. And this episode is brought to you by Mazda. Like our players, we sweat every detail because when you make every move count, pulling off the unexpected is only the beginning. Stay tuned later for highlights in this week's Moving the Game Forward. Mazda, move and be moved. Now, the Syracuse loss was tough, was frustrating, and it is also a turning point. It could be a part of Clemson's story for 2025, but not the entire story. It could be just one chapter, but not the entire book. This could be a time where this team resets. It has a perfect time on the schedule, right in front of the bye. So now you have a week where you have no game, and Clemson has a time to kind of reflect and also build towards what you could say is the second half or the middle part of the season. The first part of the season was definitely not good. That part of the season, you could end it and say that Clemson was unsuccessful. However, there is still another part of the season where you have the middle and the end of the season. I would say that you could make this through North Carolina all the way to, say, probably Florida State, and that would be your middle part of the season. So Clemson just needs to focus, really like how I do it with basketball, focus on 1 month at a time. You know, what can Clemson do in October? We're going to not have a game here at the end of September. So what can Clemson do in October to be successful going forward? Again, the Syracuse loss was not good, but it could be a turning point for this team to move forward and right some wrongs, because they've got a lot of wrongs. The goal now is not really about being frustrated about the past, because we are frustrated about the past. I think you've listened to me all this week, know how frustrated I am, and I'm sure you feel a lot of the same ways. But the goal needs to be the goal now, and the goal for now and in the future is, what are the solutions? What are the areas of strength that this team has, and what are the opportunities that this team has to grow heading into the middle part of the season? This is still Clemson. This team still has a ton of talent and has a good foundation of guys that before the season started, we all trusted. And they have to get back to that level of trust with not just the fan base, but with their staff and the coaches and with each other. As Reese Davis said, he really didn't feel as if the team was playing together, like they didn't really like each other. Not saying that their culture was bad, but it just didn't feel like they were brothers out there. You know, Clemson locks arms at the beginning of the game or before the game starts, and they walk towards the end zone together. That sign of togetherness is nice pre-game, but it's not reflected in the game. So how would you do that? Well, that foundation of talent has to grow and develop leaders that are going to take this team on their shoulders and do something about the bad performances that we've seen so far. And when we talk about the offense, you know, the offense has playmakers. They have guys that you want to buy their jersey. They have guys that you want to see be successful, that you not only like them as a player, but you like them as a person. You like their family. You know, you like their presence on social media or whatever. You maybe just like their number. But they have guys that you can rally around that actually can make big plays in a game, and they actually can be more consistent if they really put their focus to it. They just need to be used in the right way and be consistent when they are used. There's no lack of skill at Clemson. There's no lack of talent at Clemson. But what they brought out this season was an absolute failure. So the system has to evolve and take advantage of what they have. We know that if Cade Klubnick is calm, cool, and collected with his feet in the pocket, then he will be more successful as a passer. We also know that Cade Klubnick, if he is forced to run the ball and not scramble, but actually have more designed runs, then it calms him down more as a passer in the pocket. So where can you build from that? Using Cade Klubnick in the right way. He completes a lot of his throws when he stays in the pocket. So that should be a baseline to build on in the passing game. He also is a pretty good runner when they're designed in that way. And everybody knows that it's happening. It's not just a scramble drill. So use Cade Klubnick in the areas that he can provide you success. Also, when you look at the offense, who are other people or other players that you feel as if you can rely on? Well, as I've told you this week, I believe 100% that this team needs to be a run-first team and a run-often team. And it needs to be behind Adam Randall, but it can't just be Adam Randall. You know, he is still going through the growing pains of figuring out how to be a running back consistently. Getting to 20 carries is difficult for him. And so you have to be able to rotate in with Gideon Davidson and David Ezeomume. If either one of those guys is not at the level where they cannot contribute to this team, then you failed as a coach. I mean, that's really, to be honest, these guys got to jump in and be ready now. They've got to help out Adam Randall because the team needs it. And maybe it's not David Ezeomume. I mean, maybe it's not Gideon Davidson because he's a freshman, but David Ezeomume needs to be rotated in. They need to have some sort of balance in the running attack with the personnel being used. And I could give you a pass if you don't use your other running backs, if you're going to use Cade Klubnick more purposefully in the run. But there needs to be some sort of mindset of how to get this team to be a running first team behind those guys. And then I believe that's going to open up the pass a lot more. You're going to see Bryant Wesco continue to get open. I mean, this guy is just amazing, and he's continued to be the one bright spot as a receiver. You know, Antonio Williams, as he is healthy, is a reliable weapon, and Cade Klubnick trusts him, which is a huge area that you need in a quarterback that has no confidence. So you need to build off of Wesco and Williams, and then you need to start implementing Tristan Smith. And TJ Moore can get some opportunities as well. And then finally, Tyler Brown. Those need to be the rotation of guys that you use. If you're not using that rotation exclusively, then I'm not really sure what you're trying to do, to be honest with you. You got to put your best guys out there and you got to rotate them. And if you start with that running game, I do believe it'll help Cade be better in the pocket. And I think it'll be better with the offensive line as well, keeping him a clean pocket. Build that baseline around making everything easier for Cade, because right now it seems like everything's difficult. The run game's important, and the run game I do believe will open up that deep pass game with Bryant Wesco and TJ Moore and Tristan Smith. You got to have some. We're gonna really, do some explosive plays downfield mixed in there as well. The deep passing game needs to still be a part of the process, and the run game. So, and then when it comes to the offensive line, you have offensive linemen that should be more consistent than they are. And the only way to really hold them accountable, I think, is to take them out of the game. And if any of the offensive linemen just aren't performing, whether their name is a name that's been a starter for 3 years or not, it's time to rotate someone else and at least give that offensive lineman a chance to kind of reset in their mind and maybe get a breather too. It's not super difficult to play, this kind of repair game or reset game, but it is going to be a challenge for the coaching staff because they actually have to do it. We can say what we think they need to do, but this staff has to go out there and do it. And thankfully, they have a bye week to work through it. The pieces are there. It's still a few tweaks with a better balance and a good rotation and some designs that work on the strengths specifically. It could spark a late season turnaround for the offense. Coming up next, we're going to talk about the defense and what strengths they can build on as well, right here on Locked On Clemson. This episode is brought to you by Mazda's Moving the Game Forward. For those who believe it, it's not just about playing the game, it's about redefining it. There are moments that do more than put points on the board. They move crowds, move culture, and keep moving the game forward. This week's moment that moved the game forward is the catch, the 23-yarder catch from Tristan Smith, who, again, did not win the game, did not score a touchdown, but just showed a spark that there are players on this team that are trying their hardest to move the ball forward, move the chains, get the first down, fight for extra yardage, and keep the hope alive for the season, even though the season hasn't been going the way that they expected in the win-loss column. So Tristan Smith has definitely been a bright spot for the team. And when you follow what moves you, the unexpected is only the beginning. And that's just like there's more to every highlight. There's more to what moves a Mazda vehicle. Mazda, move and be moved. This episode is also brought to you by DoorDash. It's almost the weekend and time to look back at this week's MVP on Who Delivered, powered by DoorDash. Just like you can win every Saturday with DoorDash Streaks, saving more every time you order. These players delivered when it mattered the most. Let's break it down. For the Clemson Tigers, I'm going to go ahead and put out Adam Randall, who delivered in a big way. He finished with 16 carries, 130 yards, 8.1 yards per carry, and a 39-yarder. Again, continues to be the bright spot on the offense that is trying to figure it out. He doesn't hesitate. He doesn't delay. When he gets the ball, he hits the hole, and he goes hard. And you know that he has a lot of effort. And just like Adam Randall delivered for Clemson, DoorDash delivers for your Saturdays with DoorDash Streaks. You can save every Saturday you order, stack it up all season, and you could save up to $250, including $100 in DoorDash credits. Order this Saturday. Keep the streak alive. Fuel your game day only with DoorDash. Terms apply. Promo period through November 18th. Now, we talked about offense and how they can unlock their talent. And, it's not rocket science, really. They do have the talent. They do have the players that they can build on. They just got to remember what they're good at. And despite the scores the past couple of games, the defense has actually graded higher than the offense. They do have a good foundation to build on as well. And I believe that the defensive front is where it really all starts. Jaheim Lawson, who looks kind of undersized, is actually graded the best so far as a younger guy that's kind of emerging behind those guys that are honestly a little bit bigger than him. And that may be the biggest knock on Lawson. But Lawson's bringing the effort. He's bringing that fire and that heat. And his brother is holding him accountable too, because, you see him out there talking about it. But Peter Woods is another guy. He's an interior force. He's solid all around, but he's got to up it just a little bit more. He's got to be able to bring that heat and make some plays. He's taking up blocks, but he's got to figure out a way to get involved in the plays a little bit more. Avion Terrell has also been doing very well. He's locked down his side of the field, only allowing 31 yards on 10 targets, and he is a cornerstone at the cornerback position. So you have three players there that you can really build around. And what can they do going forward? Well, really it starts with getting pressure from the defensive line. Whatever they have to do, and they have the talent, they have the players that we believe are skilled and have the measurables to do so. But whatever they need to do to figure it out, and if it's just not simply possible with four, then the defense has got to switch it up I haven't been a big fan of the 4-2-5, which is basically a nickel. I mean, maybe we go back, maybe Clemson goes back to a 4-3. But what I like right now is that what I feel like right now is that Clemson needs to get as much pressure as they can on the quarterback. And if it happens to be that they need to rotate more and get guys like Amari Adams in there to prepare them not only for next year, but to try to provide a spark on that line, then they've got to do it. So whatever they need to do. The risk is if you send more than just 4, then you're exposing yourself in the secondary, and that's what we've seen with Clemson against Syracuse. So the linebackers have to pull their weight as well. They need to continue to stay sharp. I actually think Woodaz and Brown have done a pretty decent job overall, but they need to clean it up as well and be the leaders of the defense. So the players are there. And when you say their name, it's shocking that they're even having any problems at all. But really, I think they've got to figure out a way with that combination that they have to get to the quarterback as quickly as possible, because they're just not doing it right now as effectively. But they have talented players out there to do so. I'd like to see more 4-3, see if that changes something up. If you could look at maybe a 3-3-5. I know people don't necessarily like that, but something that you need to do to kind of attack in different angles and maybe not just straight up in front of the defensive line and the offensive line in their 3-point stance or whatever they're in. So to me, the first thing is figure out creative ways to get more pressure on the quarterback. Do they have the talent to do so? Yeah, they can. They can, and they could, but they've got to be more creative because straight up, winning one-on-ones in front of them is not working as well as we might have expected for the defense. So how can they be a team that's a little bit less bend, don't break? They need to, and we've seen experts say this, they're just a little bit overexposed with the amount of man coverage that they're doing on the outsides and with the receivers. So maybe there needs to be a little bit more of a mix of zone defense or zone blitz defense in there to kind of just make sure that the quarterback does not know for sure it's always going to be man. I think there's a little bit of too much tendency to just always be man. And so then the quarterback doesn't even need to think about what is happening. They just know what the matchups are going to be. They find the first one-on-one and they go for it. That makes it a lot easier. And in a lot of ways, Clemson gets done in the cover 2 a lot. They see opposing defenses doing cover 2, cover 3, but Clemson's defense does not. Clemson does a lot of cover 1 and a cover 0. So it's extremely aggressive, but it's just not working out the way that they had thought. A lot of teachable moments on the defensive side of the ball, but we know that they played better than they did the last week against, say, like LSU. So they've got to figure out how maybe to get away from playing to their opponent or playing down or up to their opponent. And they've got to play more along their lines and their skill level every single week. So we'll see how it goes, but the defense can be the backbone and the catalyst for this Clemson reset. I would rather put my chips in for the defense to reset than the offense right now. But so that's why I think you could start there and kind of build out from there. Rotations, clean those up a little bit more and be a little bit more situationally disciplined as far as where your area of coverage is and who your man is. And they can keep up with most teams, they can keep it close, but they've got to be more successful with their aggression. They're very aggressive, but they're not very successful. So they've got to switch something up and provide some new looks on their end. But Clemson still has a lot of opportunities again to reset. If you look at their schedule so far, they have a good ability to string together. They have a good opportunity, rather, to string together a couple of wins and maybe get some confidence back along the way. We'll talk about that schedule and the leadership and the culture in segment 3, if you stick with me here on Locked On Clemson. Caffeine just got a flavor upgrade. 5-hour energy shots deliver tasty caffeine in 17 bold flavors. Each 2-ounce shot packs the caffeine of a premium 12-ounce cup of coffee, plus vitamin B and nutrients with zero sugar and zero crash. What makes them stand out is how portable they are. Big taste, tiny shot. You can take it anywhere and get that quick boost right when you need it. I love being able to choose from 17 bold flavors, from the traditional berry to the more out there tropical burst. They're all really, really good. Each one that I've tried has been, a flavor explosion for sure. Each shot delivers caffeine, nutrients, and B vitamins in a sugar-free compact size, designed for energy without the crash. So no matter what your day throws at you, you will be ready for it. From the commutes to the workouts to the flights to the road trips to the podcast, everything, they're here for you. Enough with the boring, flavorless caffeine. It's time to give your caffeine a flavor upgrade with 5-hour energy shots. Get the favorites you love, or be bold and try something new in store or online at www.5hourenergy.com or on Amazon today. So this is more than just about plays and scheme and rotations. It's really where a lot of the fans are most concerned, in my opinion, is that it's more about just setting the tone for the next chapter in this season, but really setting the tone for the next chapter in seasons to come. They need to reset desperately. And it all starts with a positive vision and action for 2025. You have leaders on this team. We know Khalil Barnes is a leader. Wade Woodaz is a leader. Peter Woods is a leader. Avion Terrell. We know that Bryant Wesco and Cade Klubnick and Adam Randall and Antonio Williams are leaders on the team. And they need to step up now when their team needs them the most. If the locker room is truly intact, then their ability to guide them and carry them on their shoulders will pay off for not only 2025 as a reset, but for 2026 going forward. And in a lot of ways, Dabo Swinney is a great coach, and he can do a lot to help fix a team. But at the end of the day, he probably needs to step aside and allow his players to work the most. Dabo Swinney can adapt. He's adapted. He's embraced change here and there. It's albeit slower than what a lot of fans maybe have wanted, but he knows how to get a team to the top. Can he do it again? Well, that's still out there to be proven. But what I would say is Dabo plays a huge role in the overall look of the team, but in building the team, it's really all, his house, and we're living in it when it comes to the team. But right now, as this team is kind of in a shell shock of a 1-3 season, it's up to the players to really decide, hey, is this going to be what my senior season is about, my sophomore season? Is this going to be how I finish with Clemson, a historic program, a multiple 3-time national championship program? Is this going to be how I leave my legacy? I'm going to tell my kids and my grandkids that I played at Clemson and I was a part of the worst team that they'd had, and one of the reasons why everybody doubted one of the best coaches in college football? Or am I going to be a story of redemption and reset from the beginning of the season to the middle or the end of the season? And it sounds very rah-rah, but there has to be something inside of these players that says, you know what? I'm just not going to let this happen, and I'm going to rewrite this story. Losing early in the season gives a lot of doubt from the fan base and from the staff and from the coaches, and from the team players. But there's a lot of opportunity in adversity as well. Young players can get more opportunities now. More senior players can kind of reflect and decide, what they want their life to be about, what they want this chapter in their life to be about. Is it just about, hey, this is the best I could do and, I can't do any more? Or is it like, maybe I need to dig down and find something else? Maybe for those middle of the road players who say, well, this is the best I could do, I'm just going to transfer out and go somewhere else. Maybe they could sit down and say, maybe I stick through and maybe I figure this thing out with the rest of my brothers here and try to figure out how we can turn this season around and be one of those surprise teams out there. 9-3 would be, honestly, when you look at it statistically, a miracle. 8-4, according to teamrankings.com, is a miracle. But hey, stranger things have happened, have they not? Losing early in the season is tough, and fans should expect a different energy as this team comes back from the bye week. If there's no change in energy, then I'd really doubt that this team is under control at all by the staff. But I don't feel that way. I don't feel like that's how it's going to end up. I don't feel like that this team story is already written. Fans should expect a different team against North Carolina and getting away from home, getting away from home, going to the Tar Heels and getting another shot at an away game where they could possibly win it. And then just build from there. They get to go away from home again to Boston College. They get a shot to win that one as well. If they get 2 in a row, that's 2 road games that are difficult. It's always difficult to win a road ACC matchup or conference matchup in general. If they string together 2, then you back it up with 3 back-to-back home games where the crowd will be more excited. But if I was a player and I was watching this, I would say to them, it's not that the boos are coming because the fans don't believe in you. It's not because the boos are coming because the fans don't like you or want you gone. It's really because the entire nation of Clemson fans believe that this team was a national championship level team. And while that's not actually happening or going to happen, there's some disappointment there. But it's never been about that the fans thought that you didn't have any talent or that you weren't good or that you couldn't be one of the best players in the country. It's just that we're not seeing it. So you've got to decide, hey, is this where I hang it up or is this where I reset and try to make this part of my story different than what it is right now? I think that the best thing that we can do is to embrace what's happening. True leaders and great coaches, they aren't going to always be remembered or even be identified through the good times. This is where a true leader, a great coach, and great players shine the best, is when it's in the tough times. So the second half of the season is about resetting, trying to make something out of nothing from 2025, and then developing the players that you have for 2026, laying a foundation for maybe a rebound in 2025, but then hopefully a rebound in 2026. And as I say this and I try to end the week on a more positive note, I will say that it is okay to be frustrated. If you're a fan out there and you are so quick to tell someone that they shouldn't be frustrated or they should be more grateful, I think the time for that is over. This is not the year following a national championship. This is now really, if you think about it, it's been 5 years since we really felt like Clemson had a team that was as good as the elite teams, So Dabo has had a lot of years with teams that were just good enough to win the ACC. And we know the look when that is the case. And now this team is not in a position to win the ACC. They're 17th in the ACC. So I would say if you're listening to past shows or other fans, let the fans be who they are. Let the fans have these emotions because we're emotional creatures. And, they call them fans because of fanatics. So we're not rational for sure. And if you're a player or if you're another fan and you disagree, then that's okay. You can disagree. But as I say with the loser support group that I do, it is all about having a safe space to voice your concerns. You know, none of us here watching this or doing these shows, is the president of the university or on the board of directors. And if you are, you're probably not listening to me for sure. You probably got way more wisdom and experience than I do. But at the end of the day, everyone is allowed to have their own frustrations with the team and also have some perspective too. And not everyone's going to have, 50 years of perspective. Some people are only going to have 30 years or maybe even 10. And that's okay too. You got to meet the fans where they are and allow them to have those emotions. Right now, it's not a good season. Should it be burn it all down? No, I wouldn't say burn it all down ever. Don't do that. Should it be no more Dabo Swinney? No, I wouldn't never say that either, because I do think Dabo is a great coach and a great leader. And if anybody can fix it, I'd rather put my chips in with him than with somebody who's never actually been successful. So that's my perspective on it. All right. Well, hey, thank you so much for making Locked On Clemson your first listen of the day. This is a big moment for Locked On college football fans. Locked On and Fire TV present College Football Kickoff, your ultimate college football weekly preview show. Drake Toll of Locked On Big 12 leads the conversation alongside two-time AP Coach of the Year Gary Patterson, former college star Jesse Holley, and Locked On's local experts. A college football preview show only Locked On can do. Catch the College Football Kickoff every Thursday through the season, only on Fire TV. And as always, Tiger fans, we'll see you next week, and we'll see you at the top of the hill.